Good morning, dear learners. Welcome to teaching learning session. Today we'll discuss about sales leadership, motivation, coaching, and counseling. We'll start from there where we left in our last lecture, right? Sales leadership. What is leadership? Actually, what is a leadership? Leadership is a critical skill. It refers to a sales supervisor's ability to influence the sales people to achieve their set of business goals. What is leadership, right? A person leadership is a skill set, right? It is the ability of the sales supervisor to influence the workforce so that they can achieve their targets, right? Leadership is vital to success, and there are two forms of behavior leader used to influence their sales people, right? It is important that leader should be able to influence the workforce so that he could achieve his target through workforce. And there are the two forms of behavior leader, right, that is used to influence their salesperson. Their task behavior, there are two sorts of behavior. The first is their task behavior, which involves the leaders describing their duties and responsibilities of an individual or group. And the relationship behavior is a people oriented and affects how the leader uses two-way communication, right? And the sales leader may use the various styles as per the needs of this situation. See, there are the two forms of behavior of a leader. The first is the task behavior. Task behavior means a leader describes the duties and responsibility to individual or the group. That is the task behavior. This is your responsibility, this is your duty, and you are supposed to do that. And the relationship behavior, the second behavior is the relationship behavior, that is the people oriented and affects how the leader uses a two-way communication, where the how the people interact with the leader. It is a two-way communication, right? And there are the various styles of there are the various leadership styles, and it depends on the leader which style to opt, right? And actually it depends on the situation, right? There are the four styles of leadership, right? And leader should opt the style as per the situation. This is known as the situational theory of leadership. The first type is the tells, that it tells what the sales people to do, what to do. Second is persuades. Sales manager makes the decision but seeks the cooperation from the sales team. Third is participates. The sales managers and salespersons decides together. And fourth is delegate. The salespersons makes the decisions, right? So there are the four styles of leadership, right? First is tells, that the sales people are to attend, has been told that what they are supposed to do, what are their targets, what are their duties, what are expected from them. That is the first style, is that style. Second is persuades. Persuaded means the sales manager makes a decision but seeks the cooperation from the sales team, that this is your target, but what we expect from you is that you should cooperate with us. Then the participates. In participation method or in participation style, right, the sales managers and salespersons decide together. And delegate is the salesperson makes the decisions, that is delegation. And these are the four styles of the leadership in the sales, and the leader should opt any of the style as per the requirement or as per the situation, right? How can you keep your workforce motivated? What is motivation, right? If I the motivation is what? Reason for one's action is motivation. Why should I do this, right? The reasons for one's action is motivation. And the most important theory of motivation is of two types: internal motivation and external motivation. Internal motivation is when Internal motivation is which comes from inside, and external motivation is when some external forces motivates you to do something, that is external motivation. Again, external motivation is of two type: monetary motivation and non-monetary motivation. Like monetary motivation where money is involved, bonus, incentives, perks, and non-monetary motivations like promotions, appreciation. All these are external non-monetary motivation, right? So internal motivation is which comes from inside, and our need motivates us to perform and to do something, to take actions, right? And need based motivation has been explained by Abraham Maslow, right? That this theory is known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Hierarchy of needs theory, what is this theory? States that as per the Maslow was a social scientist, and he has given the theory of hierarchy of needs theory, and this is a theory of internal motivation, right? As per Maslow, the needs of an individual motivates the individuals to perform or to take the actions. And according to this theory, that our life goes through various phases, and that as per Maslow, the life passes through the five phases, and he has shown these phases in a triangular shape. And the first phase of this is, and in each phase of the life we have different needs, and these needs motivates the individual to take, or internally motivates the individual to take actions. And these needs starts from the physiological. The first stage of this is the physiological, or the physiological needs, right? Physiological needs is what? Physiological need is means our basic needs. The first of all, we start performing, we start taking action to fulfill our basic needs, like food, cloth, shelter, sleep, all those things, right? These are the physiological needs, right? Then comes the safety needs. Safety needs is, that is, if we feel okay is that exact moment, we then also want to feel safe, confident, we can avoid pain, hunger, and other danger from the immediate future, right? Physiological needs is physiological needs like food, cloth, shelter, sleep, and all these are the physiological needs. These physiological needs motivates us to perform or to take action. Once we fulfill, we are able to fulfill our needs, then our life enters into the second phase of the life, right? That is the safety needs. And this needs, what happens? Safety needs means we want to be safe, secure in sense of financial safety and the social safety. We want to financial safety when first of all, what we want a job so that we can earn. After so that we can fulfill our physiological needs. After fulfilling our physiological need, we start about saving, about savings, right? We start saving. This is the financial safety. And then simultaneously we start thinking about the social safety. Social safety means we want to live in the peaceful areas, right? Where we are socially as well as financially safe, right? After fulfilling our safety needs, right, then comes the social needs. Social needs is what? Social needs is need of love and belongingness, right? We feel secure when we are a part of a tribe, or we can trust or unworried about rejection or alienations, right? Social need is, that is the love and to be loved needs, right? After when we have a job, when we have a saving, then the third needs which motivates us to take the action, that is the social needs. What is social needs? In social needs is love and to be loved, and love and belongingness needs. Here we make the intimate relationships and families. We become a member of a community and a tribe where we can feel safe, secure, right? And where we can trust each other and unworried. These are the social needs. Then comes the self-esteem needs. Self-esteem needs means after securing our social needs, right? Once we are secure with our social needs, our primary desires for the status and the self-esteem, right? Then status, and that we want to be part of a group, but admire and respected part of that group, right? That is the self-esteem, where we want something in return from the organization or from the society. What we want in return from the society or the organization? We want respect, we want self-esteem, we want status, that we should have a status in the society or the organization. People should have respect for us, or people should respect us, right? I have given 40 years of my life to this organization, and I have contributed a lot to the growth of this organization. Now I should have say, I should have a status in this organization. Status means what? Status means what? Status is nothing but the position which one holds in the society, the organization. That is the status. I should have a status in the society. There should be my say should be there in the decision making, right? That is the self esteem. When we need self esteem, respect, status, right? Then comes, after fulfilling finally, when our self esteem needs, when we feel safe, when our self needs have been fulfilled, then comes the fifth stage, that is known as the self realization or the self actualization stage. Self actualization stage. What is the self actualization stage? When our core needs are met, right? That is social needs, safety needs, esteem needs, psychological needs are met. We are ready to pursue for our deepest desire for self actualization, right? To become the most complete and authentic version of ourselves. With the fundamental taken care, we are free to act as we choose, aligned with our values and higher purposes. That is this self actualization. Once our core needs are met, then what I want to be, I want to pursue my deepest desire. That is the self actualization, right? And why do I want to do that? To complete, to become the most complete and authentic version of ourselves, right? I want to do that thing which I always wanted to, but was not able to do that. Now I want to do all those things. So this is the need based motivation. Our needs motivate us to take action, right? There are sales motivational mix, that is various tools and techniques are there which motivates the sales personnel, right? Like motivate by incentives, that is monetary, external monetary motivation, right? You can motivate your workforce through incentives. Fear, even control can motivate the individual. Control plays an important role. It is very important that you should have control. Fear motivates the uh, workforce. Then comes the attitude motivates the workforce. Attitude is what? Perception, how we think about our job, how whether we like our job or not. Our attitude motivates us. If we like our job, if I like or love my work, then this motivates an individual to perform. Sales manager, salesforce meeting motivates the workforce, right? Then the job clarity is very important, that it should be very clear to me what I am supposed to perform. That is, I should be able to perform, that it should be clear to me my duties and my responsibilities. Reasonable sales target or quotas. See, targets and quotas are important. It motivates the workforce, but it should be reasonable sales targets and quota. Unreasonable sales targets or quota demotivates the workforce, because the thing which we cannot, we are not able to achieve, that demotivates the workforce. But the reasonable quota or the sales targets which we are able to achieve motivates the workforce. This is the quota I will able, I achieve that. Then the sales contest motivates the workforce. Conventions and the conferences motivates the workforce. In conventions and conferences, you meet various type of the people, right? And they can, and you get motivation from the various people. Leadership styles motivates the workforce. We discuss about the four styles, that is the democratic style, right? Or the participatory style. We discuss about the four styles, and the like the participatory style, where the salesperson and the sales manager decide together. Delegates, when the salesperson makes a decision or persuades or the tells, right? These leadership styles motivates the workforce. Freedom or autonomy, that is empowerment, motivates the workforce, right? Obviously, when I am empowered to take this small decision every time, I am not rushed to my senior to take the decision. I'm empowered to take this small decision, then it becomes easier for the sales force to achieve the target or this. Then reward and recognition, rewards motivates the workforce, because reward is an external motivational factor. Recognition, appreciation, appreciation is a long term external motivational factor, non monetary motivational factor. When one appreciates or recognizes someone works, it motivates the workforce. Then persuasion motivates the workforce, and financial incentives motivates the workforce, right? Sales planning, forecast, and budgeting. Today we'll discuss about the what is sales planning, forecasting, and budgeting. What is sales planning? Sales planning is an integral part, and it is at the heart of overall sales department management function in every organization. It is the most sales planning is the vital part of any organization, or specifically the sales department management function. Sales is the only process which gets revenue, right? We earn through sales. So sales planning is very important, is an integral part, and is very important for overall sales department management functions. Sales planning is planning for sales in a particular time period depending on the firm's policies and procedure, right? How could I define sales planning? What is sales planning? As the name indicates, that is a plan about the sales, right? That is planning for sales in a particular time period. How much and how, what, how and who will sale, right, in that particular time period. And this planning depends on the firm's policies, objectives, and the procedure, right? So what is sales planning? Sales planning is planning for a sales for a particular period, right, depending on the firm's policies and procedure. That is sales planning. Sales planning estimates the market potential versus realistic achievement plans, right? What is sales planning? Planning for the sales, right, as per the policies and rules and procedure of the organization. Sales planning estimates the market potential, right? What is the potential of the market, how much we can sell in the market, versus the realistic achievement plans. But what could be the realistic achievement plan? What is the what is the reality? So sales planning estimates the marketing opportunities or the potential as well as the realistic achievements. It also looks at the sales resources required to achieve those plans, converting the typical sales plan to easily executable actions, right? If you have to carry out the sales, right, it is very important that you should be able to estimate the market potential versus the realistic achievement plans, as well as you should be able to, you should also look at the sales resources required to achieve those plans, how much resources are required to those plans, and converting the typical sales plan to easily executable actions. Sales planning involves setting the objective to have clarity on which goals is to be achieved. Next is the task to be action, which would lead to meeting of objective, followed by arranging the resources required for completion of the task. So in short, what is sales planning? Sales planning is planning for sales in a particular period as per the procedures and the policies of the organization. Sales planning estimates the marketing potential versus the realistic achievement plans, right? Sales planning also includes the resources required to carry out those plans or to achieve those plans, right? And that the resources required to convert the typical plan into executable plans. And sales plan involves the setting of objectives to have clarity on which goal is achieved, right? So sales planning, what sales planning involves, what the sales planning involves, the sales planning involves setting of objectives. That is, you should have an objective to have a clarity on which goal is to be achieved. That is, there should be a well settled goals, right? Next is the task to be action which would lead to meeting. How next is, after setting the objective, the next task is to be action. How can you achieve your target or the objectives, right? That is followed by arranging the resources required to complete the task, right? And similarly, the implementation of tasks as per objective set at the planning stage will eventually lead to another important task of measuring the result against the desired action. Then it becomes vital to reevaluate and affect necessary corrections for the task where there was a deviation from originally planned task, right? So what is see, it is important that to take the feedback or to measure whether the objective have been achieved or not, right? We have achieved our desire, we have achieved our results, right? And if not, right, it is important to take the corrective actions, right? To understand where are the deviation from the original plans and to take the corrective actions so that we can achieve our targets, right? So what is the planning? Planning involves a plan of action, right? Plan of planning is planning for sales for a particular period, for a given time period, right? According to the organization policies and procedure, right? This sales planning includes setting up the objectives, right? Right, we set the objectives. Sales planning includes the setting up the objectives. Then it includes the estimation of the market potential as well as the realistic potential, realistic achievement plans, right? And then it also includes, the sales planning also includes to have a thorough knowledge about the sales resources required to achieve our plans, right? And then it includes what all actions should be initiated to take the to fulfill our objectives. Then the most important part of planning is sales planning is to take the feedback, right? So that uh, we could find out whether our objectives have been achieved or not, or if there is any deviation from the objective, right? We should be able to find out what the reason behind the deviation and how could we correct, how could we rectify our plan so that we could achieve our targets. This is the sales planning. So it involves a plan of action. It involves the objectives, it involves the resources, it involves the feedback, it involves the evaluation and the re-evaluation process, right? Right. So sales planning process, there is a process of sales planning. What is the sales planning process? The sales planning process can be best described by the acronym MOST. MOST means what? M stands for mission, O stands for objectives, S stands for strategy, and T stands for tactics, right? So you should have a MOST, that is mission, objective, strategy, and tactics. For the sales to be an effective, there should be broadly aligned with the corporate strategic marketing plan, right? So it is very, every organization has a mission, and it is important that the sales plans to be effective, they should be broadly aligned with the mission or the corporate strategic management plans, right? Then only we can achieve our target, that the sales planning or the sales objectives uh, should be according to the marketing plan, right? then only we can achieve our objective, then only organization can grow, right? The sales activities will complement rather than compete with the marketing activities, right? So it is very important, that is our sales plan should be aligned with our mission, right? And or the corporate strategic marketing plan, and the sales activity should complement uh, rather than competing with the marketing activities. Sales strategies and planning can only happen against a framework of organization wide broad strategic objectives and the plans, right? We can frame our sales strategies and plans as per the framework of a organization. That is, framework of the organization means mission and vision of the organization, mission of the as per the mission of the organization, that is the wide broad strategies and objectives and plans of the mission. Is what? Mission is nothing but the wide broad strategies and plans of the organization. So our this sales plan should be as per with the framework of the organization, right? It should be aligned with the broad strategic objectives and the plans, right? uh, then O stands for objective. Mission is that there is a wide, every organization has a wide plan, wide term objectives, right? Wide broad strategic and objectives and plans, right? So sales, first important thing is that the sales plan is as per the wide broad strategic objectives and plans of the organization. O stands for objectives. O stands for objective means where do we want to go. Objective, it is very important that we should set up an objective, what we want to do, where do we want to go, what we want to achieve. There should be well defined objectives, right? Second is strategies. How do we reach to our goals? We have defined our objectives, we have defined our goals, what we want to achieve, right? And now how can we achieve our objectives or the goals? That is strategies. What all steps should we take so that we can be able to achieve our targets or the goals or the objectives, right? That is the strategies. And the tactics is detailed plan for achieving those goals, right? That is, how can we achieve this? And tactics is the detailed plan, what all we should do when we describe it in details so that we can achieve our target, that is known as tactics. So this sales process can be defined through the acronym most. Most is mission. Mission is what? That the sales objective should be within the framework of the objective, broader objectives of the organization. O stands for objectives, that is, we should have our goals, where do we want to go. Strategies, S stand for strategies, how can we reach to our goals, what all are required, what all steps we should take so that we can achieve our targets. And tactics is the broad description or the detailed plan for achieving our goals, right? We plan that is a product wise sales planning, right? What is product wise sales planning? This entails the planning the unit wise sales for the various products of the company. Suppose there are the n number of the products, how many unit of the product should be sold. Product wise sales planning entails planning the unit wise sales for various products of the company, right? Right? Product wise sales planning includes, what is the product wise sales planning? The product wise sales planning, this includes planning the unit wise sales for the various product of the company, what all units of various product should be sold, right? That is the unit wise sales for the various products of the company, that is the product wise sales. Once the product wise planning is completed for the organization, it can be divided into zone, regional areas and territory wise planning. Right. So what is product wise sales planning? I hope this is clear. While determining the sales plan for each product, the sales management has to derive the market potential, and the sales forecast for their product. Right. While you are determining the sales for each and every product, right, so it is very important for the management to know about the market potential, about the sales potential and the sales forecast for their product. What is market potential? Market potential is defined as the total number of units of a product that can be sold by all the companies in a given market at a given time. That is the market potential. That is, suppose n number of companies are manufacturing a similar type of a product, right? The market potential is what? That is the number of units of a product that can be sold by all the companies who are manufacturing that product, by the all the companies in a given market at a given time period, right? That is known as the market potential, right? Then comes sales potential. You should be aware about the market potential as well as the sales potential. What is sales potential? Sales potential indicates the maximum units of a product that a single manufacturer can sell in a given market in a given year. What is market potential? Market potential is the units that can be moved in the maximum unit that all the manufacturer can sell in a given market at a given time. While the sales potential is what? Sales potential refers to a single manufacturer, that it indicates the maximum units of a product, of a single product, maximum unit of a product that a single manufacturer can sell in a given market in a given time period, right? What is sales forecast? Indicates the number of unit of a product that a single manufacturer plan to sell. That is the sales forecast. That is how many units a single manufacturer is planning to sell in at a particular time period. That is the sales forecast, right? So it is very important that companies make a product wise sales planning. After completed with the sales wise product wise sales planning, then comes the regional, zonal or the territory wise planning, right? Sales program planning. What is the sales program planning? In sales planning activities, the sales manager plan as to what each of the salesperson should do and when should he do it, right? So sales program planning is sales planning activities, that is the sales manager plans what each of his salesperson should do and when should he do it, right? All this is planned with the objective of meeting the objectives, right? That is the sales target. The sales planning activity should be include the future sales promotions lined up for the near futures, right? So sales program planning includes that the sales manager plans what each salesperson should do and when should he do that, right? And this has been done with the objective so that the objectives could be the sales objective could be achieved, right? That is the sales target could be achieved. The sales planning activities should also include the future sales promotions lined up in the near future. Planning includes the activities like what all activities the planning, the sales planning includes, that is putting up point of sales material like danglers, posters, stickers, billboards, etc. When you are planning for the sales, that what one should do, options are useful for planning sales and budgeting process. Why do we need this forecast, right? So that we can plan accordingly, right? And budget accordingly. This is required for planning the sales and budget forecasting or budgeting process, right? Sale forecasting is predicting the future demands and it is required for planning the sales and budgeting process. Sales forecasting is an estimation of the projected sales for a time period. Predicting the future, that is, you are forecasting the forecasting is what you are estimating. This is estimation of the projected sales, right? In near future, what will be the demand of the product, right? Estimation of the projected sales for a time period. The process of sales forecasting involves reviewing the performance, right? That is reviewing of the performance of the product, company, and many other things, history of the product or the services, and relates it to the marketing and sales efforts of the firm with anticipated marketing environment, right? And the buyer's behavior. So, sale forecast, how can we forecast about the demand? How can we estimate the projected sales? This involves many things. This involves reviewing the past performance, how that product or company has done in the past, then history of the product or the services, and then it relates to the marketing and the sales efforts of the firm, right? What marketing and sales efforts the firms are ready to put in within the anticipating marketing environment, why we consider the facts, other factors like environment, economic conditions, competition, technology, and other policies, and the buyer's behavior. All this should be taken into consideration while you are making a sales forecast. Sales forecast are time span related and therefore are termed as the short term forecast, that is covering a time period up to 1 year, or a medium term forecast for a period of around 3 to 5 years. Right? What is sales forecast for a given period? That is when you predict about the about the demand of the product in near future and near future or for a particular period, and it could be short term or the long medium term. Short term is short term forecast, that is the covering a time period up to a year. Medium term forecast is period of around 3 to 5 years. The exact time period for which a forecast is developed is dependent on the product, market characteristics, as well as purpose for which it is developed, right? So the exact time period for which forecast is developed is dependent on the product or the market characteristics as well as the purpose of which it was developed. The longer the time span covered, the more qualitative will be the forecast. The shorter the time span covered, the more quantitative the forecast, right? So if your forecast is for the shorter term, it would be more quantitative. You can give the number in quantitative terms. The longer the forecast, then it will be more qualitative, right, rather than the quantitative, right? There are various methods, right, for forecasting. There are various techniques of forecasting like time series, right, correlation and regression, customers or dealers survey, and executive judgments. All these are most commonly used methods for preparing the sales forecast, right? And the selection of appropriate forecasting methods depend on its purpose. What is the purpose of the forecast? Availability of reliability, availability of reliable and relevant data, and marketing conditions. These are the three prerequisites on which the selection of appropriate forecasting techniques or method depends, right? That is its purpose. What is the purpose of forecasting? That is availability of reliable and relevant data, right? And the market conditions. And the various techniques is the time series, right? Correlation and regression, customers or dealers survey, or executive and judgment. Classifications of sales forecast, we can classify it into three. The qualitative, extra is also high for this type of forecasting because the sales force has themselves created the same. So sales for aggregate is basically used for industrial organization where the number of customer under each salesperson is not very high, right? This method includes the sales force projecting the sales for their customer in their territories, and then the sales figure has been aggregated and reviewed by the top management, and this territory estimation has been done on the basis of the demand expected by the largest customer of the territory, right? Then comes the second is executive judgment. What is executive judgment of qualitative method? Executive judgment involves the senior executive using their expert judgment, using indicators like retail inflation, consumer price index, historical sales, and other trends. These are then compared with the forecast done by the salespeople, and the differences are reconciled, right? So what is executive judgment? Executive judgment involves the senior executive using their expert judgment, right, on the basis of retail inflation, CPI, and other this, and these are compared by the forecast done by the salesperson. This forecasting tool continue to have more popularity as the manager trusts their judgment compared to the less popular statistical tools. This method serves from the apparent drawback that this forecasting comes with the experience and age, and it is difficult to teach, right? That is, this executive judgment technique comes with the experience and the age, and it is difficult to teach because in this executive judgment, right, one uses the expert judgment, right, and which comes with the time and experience. Then comes the purchase survey. Purchase survey means when we purchases the commercially purchased survey like AC Nelson's or MIRB, ORG or RK Swami. This helps to give an insight depending on the deep detail this survey is subscribed to. So we can forecast our sales on the basis of the purchase survey conducted by the various organizations, right? The next method was the extrapolation method. In extrapolation, the first technique is the naive technique. What is this? This involves using a last period's sales for having the next period sales forecast without prediction or adjusting the factors. So what is the naive technique? In naive technique, right, the last period sales for that is the next last period sales have been considered for the next period sales forecast without making any adjustments, right? Suppose someone has sold 30 units in the last period, so this time we consider the same the next period forecast without prediction or adjusting the factors, right? This implies that the previous period's actual sales are the naive forecast for the next period. The previous advance, the indicators like the state of economy, right? These are usually available several months before, right, or several months in advance. Now comes budgeting, right? Forecast is what we discussed about the sales forecast. Sales forecast is when we forecast the sale, when we made an assumption what will be the demand of the product at a given period. That is the sales forecast. Now the budgeting. Sales budget is an important tool used by the sales manager for annual planning of their sales objectives. It includes a set of planned expenses prepared on an annual basis. The sales forecast helps us to indicate how many sales proposals will be needed. What is sales budgeting? That is, sales budgeting is a tool used by the sales manager for annual planning for their sales objective, right? It includes the planned expenses, right? On annual basis, what will be the expenses? What all expenses will incur to achieve our targets on annual basis. The sales forecast help us to indicate how many salespersons would be needed, what all budget we need to achieve our target. This adds to the travel and other expenses of the sales forces. Then the actual expenses is compared with the budgeted expenses. The main objective of preparing a sales budget is to decide how much is to be spent on the personal selling and how much is to be spent on the various other selling activities. Right? Methods of sales budgeting. There are various methods of sales budgeting. One of them is affordable. What is affordable? Affordability method. How much an organization can afford, how much budget can an organization allocate, that is affordable. This method is generally used by the firm dealing in capital industrial goods. Companies giving a low emphasis on the sales and marketing functions or having a small size of operation make use of this judgmental method, right? That is affordable. What could be afforded? And the companies who have a low emphasis on the sales and marketing functions, or the second type of the companies who are small in size of operation, make use of this technique, right? What is affordable? How much we can afford, how much we can give it to you, right? Then rule of thumb. The another method is rule of thumb. What is rule of thumb? Such as a given percentage of a sales, mass selling goods, and the companies dominated by the finance function are major user of this method. A rule of thumb is a given percentage of a sales. Suppose we have made this much sales, a given percentage of sales will be allocated as a budget. 5%, 10%, that has been decided. A given percentage of sales has been allocated, will be allocated as a budget for the sales. That is the thumb rule. That is a percentage, a fixed percentage of a sales. And a mass selling goods, companies who are selling to the masses, or the companies dominated by the finance function, are a major user of this company, right? Then the competitive parity method. What is competitive parity method? The large size company whose product face the tough competition and need effective marketing to maintain profit make use of this method. The use of method presumes the knowledge of the competitor's activities and resource allocation. That is the competitive parity method is what? Competitive parity method is when we allocate budget as per the budget of our competitors, right? When we have a presume that knowledge of competitors activities and the resource allocation, and as per the competitors, when we allocate a budget, that is known as the competitive parity method. Then the objective and the task method. What is objective and the task method? Objective and the task method, a systematic method, help in determination of the sales budget by identifying the objective of the sales function and then ascertaining the selling and related tasks required to achieve each objective, right? Objective and the task method. In this method, this is the systematic method which helps in determination of the sales budget, right? And it helps in identifying the objectives of the sales function and then ascertaining the selling and related tasks required to achieve each objective. The cost of each task activity is calculated to arrive at the total budget. The finalization of budget may require adjustment both in objective as well as in the way of task may be performed. So this is a systematic, the objective and the task method, the objective and task method, this is a systematic method of allocating the sales, right? This is done by identifying the objective of the sales function. This is ascertaining the selling and related tasks required to achieve each objective. The cost of each task or activities is calculated, right? The cost of each objective or task is calculated to arrive at total budget. And then the finalization budget may require adjustment in both the objective as well as the task, how the task may be performed, right? So these were the few budgeting methods, right? So today in this we discussed about the sales leadership and motivation. In sales leadership, we discuss about the leadership. What is the sales leadership? Sales leadership or say leadership is a critical skill, and it refers to the sales supervisor's ability to influence the salesperson to achieve the business goals, right? And then we discuss about the styles, about the behavior, right? Of the sales leadership, there are two types of the behavior: the task behavior and the relationship behavior. The task behavior involves the leader describing the duties and the responsibilities to an individual or the group, and the relationship behavior is people oriented and affects how a leader use the two-way communication, right? The sales leader may use the four styles. That is the first style we discussed about, the tell style, that the salesperson has been tell what they are supposed to do. Then the persuades, that the sales manager makes a decisions and seeks the cooperation from the sales team. And then the third method we discussed was the participates method, that the sales manager and the sales people decide together. And then the delegation method, the sales person makes the decision, and as per the situation, right, leader should opt the style. Then we discussed about the motivation. What is motivation? Reasons for one action is motivation. Then we discussed about Maslow hierarchy of needs theory, right? That is how our needs motivates us. Then we discussed about the various tools and techniques of sales motivational mix, right? Like what all can motivate the sales force, like incentives, fear, attitude, right? Job clarity, target, quotas. We discussed about all those techniques. Then we discussed about planning, forecasting, and budgeting. What is sales planning? What is the sales planning? Sales planning is nothing but when we plan, that is it involves, what is the planning involves, it is the planning for the sales in a particular time period, right? How many units we can sell in a particular time period, that is known as the sales planning. We discussed about the sales planning in detail. Then we discussed about sales planning process, that the sales planning process, we described it with the acronym most, that is mission, objective, strategy, and the techniques, right? Then we discussed about the product wise sales planning. What is the product wise sales planning? Product wise sales planning is when we plan how many units of a particular product will move in the market, that is the product wise sales planning, and it is required, right? Then we discussed about the sales program planning, how can we achieve our targets, right? Then we discussed about the planning, the activities involved in the planning, right? Sales forecasting. What is the sales forecasting? Sales forecasting is predicting the future demand for the product, that is sales forecasting, right? And sales forecasting depends on many things, right, on many factors. We discussed about the many factors, right? Then we discussed about the various tools and techniques, or the statistical tools or techniques to carry out the forecasting, right? Then there was the classification of the sales forecast, the qualitative, extrapolative, and the quantitative forecast, right? Then we discussed about the budgeting. What is the budget? The sales budget is the most important tool, right, used by the sales manager. What the sales budgeting includes: the sales budget includes a set of planned expenses prepared on an annual basis, right? That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.